This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. Follow Daniel at dstarsick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Damio on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a very special bonus episode of The Horror of Babylon, where we're discussing Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I am Ryan, and with me, as always, is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
TTFN.
No, you say that at the end. Because it stands for ta-ta for now.
Tatas for now.
Ooh, tatas for now. Tatas filled with honey. One filled with honey and one filled with blood. It's like the ice cream machine where one does chocolate and one does vanilla. Can you get him to swirl the blood and honey together?
Yes.
By the way, this is the fourth thing we've recorded tonight.
Yeah, so
yeah.
You'll have to excuse us.
Yeah. But
this also strikes me as the least important.
It is definitely less important than Godzilla meets Bambi. Okay, thank you very much to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons,
and Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, or the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, led by the Pinhead himself, who pulls out his nails every day before he goes into work, Ronald III, the Hell Priest of Christmas.
He officially a Cenobite now, is he?
He's been a Cenobite for a long time, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just, like I said, before he goes into the store every day, he pulls the nails out of his head.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then he reinserts them every night before he goes to sleep.
I kind of want to watch him do that.
Yeah. He likes to sleep on a head full of nails. You know how some people sleep on a bed of nails? Mm-hmm. He sleeps on a head full of nails.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we want to talk about anything other than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Okay, so what would you say are some possible, triggers for Winnie the Pooh?
You got, stalkers.
Yeah, actually, there's, a legit subplot about stalkers that was, spoiler alert, really the only thing scary in this movie, so...
There are people sending death threats to the creators of this movie, not because they thought the movie was bad, but because you're ruining childhoods and childhood icons.
That's so stupid.
If that offends you, then I guess don't watch this movie, if that's where your line is.
That's so silly.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say up front, I did not like this movie, but I didn't not like it because they ruined Winnie the Pooh. I didn't like it because I'm not a fan of the genre, and I also thought it was a very bad addition to the genre, but we'll get into that. Okay, so for history, I thought we would talk a little bit about Winnie the Pooh. Now, for me, I remember a period of time in that 2, 3, 4, 5 range where I consumed a lot of Winnie the Pooh content.
Yeah.
I remember particularly liking Tigger and Rabbit and their back and forth, where Rabbit, I've just planted all these carrots, and then Tigger comes in and does some Steve Urkel shit and ruins all of Rabbit's hard work.
Yeah.
And he's like, Tigger, you son of a bitch!
I also remember Pooh, being a complete mooch.
Yeah, he's a total mooch.
And I'm just sitting there going, brother, man, you're taking all your friend's shit. That's not cool.
Put some damn pants on and get a job.
I remember Rue and his mom giving me funny feelings.
Is that the worst kind of Wincest or the best kind of Wincest?
Well, I don't ship them together, but I was just like, one of the things that I love most in my partners is what I call tired mom eyes, and I think it might have started there.
With Kanga?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kanga definitely has tired mom eyes.
Yeah.
Mostly because she has to take care of Roo, who is an adolescent kangaroo, but she also takes care of Tigger a lot because Tigger, like, mooches off of them.
Yeah.
And I also think...
It's like having that, like, lazy meth head boyfriend that lives on your couch.
But that's her... The other thing is that he's also kind of her peer. So, like, after Roo goes to bed, then Tigger really wants to have fun. So
Tired mom eyes.
So she's got, like, 2 kids during the day and then, like, a no-good boyfriend at night.
When does Kanga enter the public domain?
I don't know. I don't know, but maybe that could be our movie.
Yeah.
Kanga... out for hopping mad, out for blood. I don't know.
I would make it like somebody kills Roo and it's like a mom revenge movie.
Yeah, it's like the Kanga the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be good. Yeah. I like it. So I have somewhat of a history with the 100 Acre Wood.
Mine's just the same. So.
Yeah. I enjoyed it as a kid. It's not one of those like kid franchises that stuck through with me up to adulthood, but I still...
There are some people that are legit obsessed with Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, and by the way, I am dedicating this episode to Laura, my sister-in-law, who is an adult who's obsessed with Winnie the Pooh.
You gonna send this episode to her?
Nah, maybe.
Maybe.
And I'm sure... I have not spoken with her about this, but I'm sure she is one of those people who is upset about it.
So I posted that ticket... to our like Facebook and everything. And one of my coworkers saw it and went, "Daniel's going to see a Winnie the Pooh movie?" And like apparently all my coworkers like were showing it to each other, getting super confused. So they Googled it and they're like, "This isn't real." Like, what's going on? And I was like, "How did you guys not hear me talking about this movie for the past year?"
Because you have talked about it way too much.
Exactly.
I've
been championing this movie for like so long.
I can only wait to see what happens when Mickey Mouse eventually enters the public domain.
I've interacted with the composer on Twitter. I've interacted with the official page. I'm pretty sure the directors liked one of my tweets.
Nice.
So
I bet they don't like your tweets anymore.
Oh. I didn't like this movie as much as I wanted to. I still would rank it probably pretty low, but I have some constructive criticisms that we will get to.
The last thing I wanted to mention in history with Winnie the Pooh is that neither of my kids like Winnie the Pooh at all, even when they were like 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And I exposed both of them to it. The Winnie the Pooh movie that came out in like 2012, 2013 with Craig Ferguson was in it and he played Owl. That was the very first movie I ever took my daughter to.
Wow.
And she was just kind of meh about it. I even tried reading like the original books to both of them. And neither of them care. They're like, I don't give a shit about that dumb old bear.
Oh no, now he's going to go feral.
He's going to go feral and kill. So yeah, they're both Christopher Robin in this movie, basically.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Jumping into background, this is a independent British slasher film that was released in 2023. It was written and directed by Rhys Frake Waterfield, and Rhys is now a producer on the upcoming Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
They're doing a Bambi movie, a Peter Pan movie, and a second Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. The second Winnie the Pooh movie is apparently going to have 5 times the budget.
The last movie that Rhys Waterfield directed was Fire NATO.
I heard that during one of the reviews I watched today.
Dinosaur Prison that caged dinosaurs.
I kind of want to watch that.
It's got the same girl.
I'd actually be interested in watching some of their other movies just out of like morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I would try it. This movie had a budget under $100,000, and at time of recording, which we are recording this on February 17th, which is 2 days after of official release in the United States, it has made about 1.8 million. So obviously very successful for what it is.
Yeah, they got their payday.
Yeah. I don't know that this movie will have like a returning customer base, like
It's probably going to be one of my criticisms when we get to it.
but obviously like this movie is basically a meme, so a lot of people are going to want to see it one time.
Out of curiosity.
But on the same, even though you and I aren't crazy about it, that doesn't mean like when we saw it, when the lights went up and the credits rolled, somebody literally stood up and applauded and said, "This movie is amazing," which just goes to show you that
I think
different strokes for different folks.
And that is perfectly fine. I was a little confused. I was honestly, one of the reviewers I watched said that his audience laughed whenever the screen said Winnie the Pooh will return. And he's like, everyone laughed. Like, this is fucking Avengers or something. And I was like, okay.
So, and of course, this is based on characters from the original books by classic children's author A.A. Milne.
Which, I will say, like, some of the stuff that I was kind of wanting to see, later I realized that's part of what Disney still has the rights to. They could only use what was in the original books.
And I'm not super familiar with them. As I said earlier, I tried to read them to my kids. I've never read them on my own, so I've never gotten through them. So I don't have a clear idea in my head of what belongs to A.A. Milne's rights and what Disney owns. Obviously, I didn't expect him to be voiced by Jim Cummings and be walking around in a red t-shirt and no pants and all that, but
yeah,
if you get down to it, if we could both like meld our criticisms down to one thing, the big issue is that they didn't lean hard enough into the Winnie the Pooh.
That's my biggest criticism, is you have something so delightfully absurd. You've got the internet backing you as a meme. I mean, half the internet, the other half is giving you death threats because they can't have any fun,
which is terrible.
And I'm sitting there like, we'll get into it when we get to characters, but I'm like, you have this delightfully absurd idea, and I think when I walked out, I was like, I think they needed to go either like 10% more in one direction, either take itself 10% more seriously, or my preference would be lean into the absurdity. I'm going to up that to 15% after sitting on it.
Yeah, I wanted more Pooh. Like
yeah.
So when I heard this movie was coming out, I was like, that's an awesome premise. I'm super excited.
Then you had to listen to me talk about it for a year.
I listened to you talk about it forever, which just drained on me. And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, is this just going to be like a stupid slasher with a guy in a Pooh mask? And then we go to see the movie, and like the whole day I'm like, I'm kind of dreading this. And then eventually, like an hour or two before the movie, I kind of said to myself, Ryan, stop being a fucking bitch. Just go have fun.
Go have fun.
Go have fun.
Yeah.
And I went in like, okay, let's just have fun. Let's not try to be super critical. Let's just have fun. And then it showed that prologue. And I was like,
that prologue was so good.
It was perfect. And I was like, maybe this movie will be awesome.
The movie opens with a like animated in quotation marks. It's a very basic animation, but it's eerie. It sets the tone, and honestly, it was the scariest thing in the movie.
Aside from the Stoker for me, but yeah.
I feel like if you would have done that as a short film, you could have probably made something genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, it could have been the Pooh, like the Godzilla Bambi version of Pooh.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done like 5 minutes of that, and that would have been way scarier.
Even like a 15-minute movie where, it does that prologue, and then Christopher Robin comes in and they kill Christopher Robin.
And then they show him, because they even show some live action, and then it goes back to animated where they drag him into the cave and show him the skeleton of Eeyore.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Okay, so this is a good time to transition into structure, because I do have some thoughts on the structure of this movie, because it was kind of confusing. So you get this awesome prologue, and then it goes straight into Christopher Robin and his wife/fiance going into the woods, and within 10 minutes, they're both dealt with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this movie about? And then you get the title, and then it cuts to this random girl at a psychologist's office. And I'm like, is this Christopher Robin's sister? Is she traumatized by his disappearance? And then it just goes into the most stereotypical, generic horror movie premise of all time.
It's Cabin in the Woods, but without the... It's like what Cabin in the Woods makes fun of.
Yeah, it's a group of sexy young people who go out to a cabin in the woods and get murdered by crazy people.
Yeah.
And
I feel like they should have leaned into following Christopher Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he has a group of friends,
And
they think he's like Cuckoo Bananas or something.
yeah, like he brings his group of friends out to, my family and I used to stay at this cabin every summer, and during the day I would like sneak out and go and play with my friend Pooh.
Pooh, and like everyone treats him like he's...
Oh, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We just want to drink beer and swim in the pool.
And part of that... Again, I'm not a professional writer. I've never been paid for it. But I feel like that would have been far more interesting than what we got, and it's what I expected based off the trailer.
Yeah.
So on one hand, they subverted what I was expecting, but on the second hand, what they gave me was just not as good.
Yeah, it just wasn't entertaining. And they even do... Like, as they're, like, driving out to the cabin, I was like, please don't stop at an abandoned-looking gas station and talk to a creepy man.
I kind of wanted them to do that, because after I realized what was going on, I'm like, okay, just lean into the tropes, but then they didn't even lean into them hard enough as, like, a joke.
It wasn't enough that they were, like, being meta about it.
Yeah, because they just played it straight.
Yeah, which was not good. But it could have worked if they had leaned harder into the Winnie the Pooh thing, but they didn't.
Yeah.
It was just... like your generic sexy kids at a cabin in the woods slasher movie, except the guy was wearing a Pooh mask.
Yeah.
So themes. Does this movie even really have themes? I mean, killing people?
Abandoning your family?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't...
Revenge?
I guess revenge. It is kind of a revenge movie.
Yeah.
But there's not really story and character in, like, the sense that we talk about story and character.
Yeah, they kind of play with it, but it's more like we have to invent something so people care about these characters, but then they don't put in the actual work.
Yeah.
You know, like, we had, like, hints of, like, the lesbian couple, like, having some sort of romantic trouble, but then they don't do anything with it. They, like, they bring it up once, and then, I'm so sad she died. I'm not, but, like, her lover is... And then, like, she's fighting Piglet, and she's like, this is for killing my wife or my girlfriend. I don't even remember.
I don't remember any of their names.
And then there's that woman they found just, like, tied up in the woods.
That was so confusing.
That was the worst part.
I was like, wait a minute. Was there another girl that I forgot about? Or is this one of the girls that...
They just added a character to explain who the monsters were.
It took me, like, 10 minutes to figure that out.
But they could have just had Christopher Robin do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, adding that extra girl unnecessarily muddled the entire flow.
And I even, like, spoke. I was like, because she's like, it's Piglet. He comes in here and he mauls me. I'm like, how do you know his name is Piglet if they took an oath to never talk? Unless you were their, like, other secret friend. Like, maybe she's, like, the other Christopher Robin. Like, during the summer, Christopher Robin would take care of them, but during the winter, she would stay there with her dad, who's a writer. He'd rent out the cabin every winter to write his books, and she would go out and play with them in the winter, and that's how they got fed during the winter. But she also abandoned them. Mm-hmm. But she also came back with her fiance.
we have to invent all of this for it to make sense. I'm gonna be honest. When I saw her and she was talking about, like, Piglet mauling her, I thought it was gonna get, like, weirdly sexual.
I thought like Piglet was gonna, like, mount her.
Yeah, and I was like, where is this going? And I'm kind of glad it didn't, but at the same time, if it would have, it would have been like, well, at least that's something.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's jump to characters.
Okay.
And I actually want to start with Piglet, since we just mentioned him. Unless you told me explicitly, which it does, it tells me, I would not have known this was supposed to be Piglet. The Pooh mask, at least, kind of resembles Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
If you could show it to me and I could figure out it was Pooh without being told.
I almost think that they should have cut Piglet and just had Pooh.
Yeah. Piglet, I understand, like, in the stories, he's a young pig. He's a piglet.
Yeah.
And this is a grown-up pig.
Yeah.
I understand that. But it's still, like, nothing about this thing reminds me or resembles or references Piglet in any way other than the fact that it is a pig.
And honestly, even more so than Pooh, it looks more like a dude with a mask than even Pooh.
Like, really does. The best thing I can say about Piglet is I appreciated that they overlaid it with like actual like pig noises.
I did like that. I like that he kept using chains, because that's going to be one of my criticisms here soon. Is because, like a lot of slashers have like their thing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, they gave him
Freddy's
chains.
claws.
Jason has a machete.
Yeah. What does Michael Myers have?
A kitchen knife.
What does Ghostface have?
It's a very specific brand of hunting knife, of a specific brand of Bowie knife.
Okay. All right.
And not that they can't also use other things, but like you have something that kind of like you latch on to when you think of them.
They have like an iconic
Leatherface
thing.
has a chainsaw.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so I was like, okay, they're giving him chains, and then he picked up a sledgehammer, and I was like, okay, so they're doing something with that. Christopher Robin, what do you think of Christopher Robin?
It's fine. Oh, okay. Did you know about the Winnie the Pooh disorders?
No.
Okay, so each character represents a different disorder.
Is that something like that people have projected onto it, or is that intentional?
It's intentional.
Okay.
So let's go through that real. Okay, so Christopher Robin, schizophrenia; Winnie the Pooh, eating disorder; Owl, narcissism; Eeyore, depression; Tigger, ADHD; Rabbit, OCD; Piglet, anxiety.
Okay, that all makes sense.
Yeah. That's something that they could have played with in this movie.
I fully expected them to. Maybe not for Piglet, but especially for Pooh, because the whole, because I knew the premise of the movie, like the AD and then they went feral. I was expecting him to be like hungry all the time, or like he's not killing them just because he hates people, even though that's also okay, but because he wants to eat them. Like full Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The dude who played Christopher Robin did give it his all, especially like in the final scene.
No, I don't really take issue with the performances.
Yeah.
At least not with Christopher Robin.
I liked the influencer girl. I thought she was funny.
The Instagram girl?
Yeah, the Instagram girl. None of us are using our phones. Oh, okay, I don't need to use my phone. Instantly cuts to her. That was funny.
I think that was Natasha Tosini who played Laura.
Yeah, she was fine. And she was my favorite kill in the movie.
So, here's something that took me out of it. Like, I can deal so much with people being dumb in horror movies, because that's part of the fun. That's part of the trope.
Yeah.
But how insanely stupid and self-centered do you have to be? You literally see a man in a mask standing in the dark watching you take pictures of yourself in a hot tub, and you just say, fuck it, whatever, and get
back in the hot tub.
That is... I don't believe that there's a person out there that stupid.
I'm always careful to criticize, because again, I'm not being paid to do this. But I feel how that scene should have been written is she takes a picture, sees that there was someone behind her, and she goes to look and then is immediately attacked.
Yeah. Because, like...
That's how you pace that scene.
It irritated me so much. Who would do that? There's a literal, like, for all you know, it's a pervert, and maybe they just want to touch themselves while you're in the hot tub. But still, you don't, like...
You still call the police over that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so stupid.
I love when they murdered her and then wrote "Get Out" on the windows and then just proceeded to go start killing all of them.
And one of the girls sees "Get Out" written on the window and says, "Oh my gosh, the killers probably did that." That was another thing that was so stupid it took me out. I'm like, oh my god. There's no way these women are this dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main girl was, I think, Maria, played by Maria Taylor. She was the only one of them that had, like, any kind of development, but it was confused for me because they didn't really explain what it was until, like, 30 minutes into the movie. And when she was first introduced, I really thought that they were going to tie her to Christopher Robin somehow. And, like I said, it ends up, she had a stalker and she was traumatized by it, and I actually thought, like, the scene with the stalker breaking into her house was actually the only thing that really kind of got a reaction out of me.
Yeah.
But it felt like, I don't know, this movie's just pulled in too many different directions. Mm-hmm. And this was, I don't know, what are your thoughts? I'm rambling.
I literally would have cut all of these women just to focus on Christopher Robin. I thought that the stalker backstory was completely unnecessary when you're already dealing with, here's Christopher Robin saying that there's anthropomorphic animals that live in the woods that he was friends with. That's fine enough.
Yeah, most of the time, those kind of subplots don't work. On a rare occasion, it's a total home run. And the best example of that I can think of is in Pet Sematary, the subplot of the wife's sister, Zelda.
Yeah.
That is, you could see, like, on paper, how that would not work at all.
Yeah.
But it does. It's so scary.
And part of that is because it ties back into the themes about that's why she's afraid of death, and the whole book is about just death as a nebulous concept and how we're always trying to avoid it.
Yes.
This was, we want her to have an excuse to be out in the middle of the woods with her friends.
Like, you need an excuse for teenagers to go in the woods.
And we want her to be afraid of Stoker. You should already be afraid of, like, a dude that's coming up to your house.
I'm afraid of him.
There's, like, these, like, little tricks in writing that you, like, tropes that are shorthand to, like, try to lazily get people to care about characters. One of them is, like, you have him pet a dog. Oh, he's a good guy because he petted a dog. That's the lazy version of doing it. Slasher movie, it's this person's afraid because they had been attacked before, and that's why they're afraid of this. You should already be scared of the slasher.
Yeah, he's gonna slash you.
Yeah. The fact that Jason is out in the woods with a machete
is enough.
And all of your friends are disappearing should already be enough. You don't have to add, I was attacked and dragged out into the woods by a guy that kind of looked like Jason.
At the same time, though, we do need, like, some amount of development for these characters so we care when they die. It was just awkward that they only chose to do it with one character.
And they teased it with the lesbian couple.
Yeah, you got, like, one little hint of them having some distress.
But then they never, like, addressed what it was or why they were having troubles.
And then there were points where they're all running around together in the dark, and I couldn't tell which character was which character.
Yeah.
I had to actively try and remember who was who. And, like, you could say, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's just a movie where a bunch of kids get killed by a slasher. And then, yeah, sure, fine. But, I mean...
And that's fine, but that'll bring us to Pooh.
Yeah.
Which is, you have to have memorable kills.
Yeah.
And, I'm gonna tell you, whenever I first heard the concept, I watched the trailer and I, like, read the premise. I was like, it's gonna be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with Pooh. He's gonna be grinding people up into honey.
Why didn't he drown someone in a pot of honey?
That is what that's the exact suggestion I was gonna bring up, is they even had the honey pots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you have this wonderful concept. It's so fucking stupid. You gotta lean into it. And the one thing they kind of leaned into it with is bees followed him around twice, and he sent them after one person. And I get that's a budget issue.
Actually, that's not even canonically correct, because bees and Pooh Bear are adversaries. He would not have control over the bees.
When he went feral, he gained control.
Okay, that's fine.
But, like, drown them in a pot of honey, grind them up into food or honey.
Tie them up, set them against a wall, and then put a railroad spike through Eeyore's tail and play pin the tail on the donkey with Eeyore's tail.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I mean? But there was nothing like that. He walked around with the most fun kill for me was when they hog-tied the hot chick and
ran her over.
But that's not Pooh related.
The only thing that I thought was cool about that was the fact that they didn't immediately go over it. They had to, like, struggle and give it some gas to get it to go over her.
And that was funny.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was like, okay, the kills are at least going to be fucking stupid and absurd.
Most of them weren't.
But I was like, that was it. That's the best thing we got. I liked whenever he sent the bees after the one redneck that was running away.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like,
Pooh Bear does not have control of bees.
But they should have done more stuff. And I know you can't do that because CGI bees are probably expensive.
Yeah.
So you get one of those. But they should have done more with Pooh as a concept so that he's memorable. Because a slasher is going to live and die by three things. It's characters, which most of the time they don't have great ones. I can think of maybe a handful that have...
It's the killers that are the great characters.
The killers and the kills.
Yeah.
You already have, like, an established... Like, a personality you can kind of graft around Pooh. He's fat. He wants to eat.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit lazy.
Silly old bear.
Yeah. He's kind of a goofball. So that... And the one time they almost did something with that was like whenever they were like bathing Christopher Robin in the guts of his wife. And I was like, okay. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, they're going to be grinding them up into honey just like I thought they were going to. And I was like, okay, that's gross. It's a little absurd, but it makes sense. But then they don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
They showed him like eating a bunch of honey one time. And I'm like, they should have had more stuff like that.
When I saw the trailer, I was just like worried it's just going to be like a generic slasher with a guy in a Pooh mask, and that's
what it ended up being.
That's what it was.
I kind of like the redneck fight.
Yeah, that was amusing.
Like when they stepped out and they're like, "Oh, you're in the wrong woods, bear."
Because I was kind of thinking to myself too, like, does he have the strength of a bear? We don't really know. Like, so just based because he hasn't done anything like superhuman,
and that's what they should have leaned into more. Like, he has the strength of a bear, which they kind of showed in that scene.
Yeah, and that's why when it got to that scene, I was like, maybe these 5 guys can take him down. Oh no, they can't. But
it'd be like if we took a crowbar and a bat and tried to fight a grizzly bear.
Yeah, that would not.
We
work
would get
out.
killed.
That would not work out. They have bear spray now.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there like, okay, that was kind of amusing, and it also felt like they were having fun with that scene. And a lot of this movie took itself so drearily seriously.
Yeah, it was like a blustery day. It was so dreary and serious.
So,
all right. So,
I love the way Pooh, when Pooh's ears wiggled. I'm told that was CGI.
Oh, I figured it was just like a practical effect.
Yeah, one of the reviewers I watched said, I haven't confirmed this, but said that was CGI, and that's why it kind of happened like when he was a little bit out of frame.
I kind of enjoyed that.
But I was like, that added a little personality to him.
Yeah.
And the body acting, the dude who did Pooh did an okay job of like, you don't have a lot of expression. The mask doesn't have a lot of movement.
I didn't think Pooh was scary, but I thought his body language was intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a positive I'll also give it. But they needed to have that plus the memorable kills. And like a machete through the mouth, that's fun to watch, but that's like any Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
Any knockoff of those movies is going to have like, we're going to put a knife through somebody's mouth. It happened in the most recent Scream movie.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
So scary shit. Was this movie scary?
The first jump scare got me, so...
What was the first jump scare?
When Piglet jumped up from behind and grabbed Mary and then choked her to death. I also thought that was kind of goofy because Christopher Robin just sitting there begging him to
Please stop, don't do this. Pooh, help me, Piglet's gone insane.
And I thought that was kind of funny because I'm like... I mean, like, what do you do? Because
you don't know.
These are his friends. He's confused by the situation.
I mean, what would you do if I walked into your house and threw a chain around your mom's neck and started strangling her?
Yeah, I would punch you.
Yeah, but that first second you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah,
because you don't know how to process that.
And I thought that was fine. And I won't say that scared me, but I was like, that's at least setting the mood.
I didn't think it was scary at all.
Yeah.
The stalker, even though it did feel kind of out of place, that just home invasion scares the hell out of me. So the fact that he like entered her house trying to undress her in her bed was kind of scary. And then the prologue was very creepy.
I thought the animated stuff was very good. Have I told you what the idea for the sequel is outside of it having 5 times the budget? They want to kill 100 people, 1 for each acre in the wood.
That could be better.
And I'm like, okay, see, that sounds like you're going to have to come up with a lot of stupid shit to kill people.
Which I'm more interested.
At the same time, I'm like, or you could just have Christopher Robin and like develop a character, and then there's sort of or develop the characters of your killers.
And I'll use this as a time to say it. Like, in the second one, we better see Rabbit and Owl. And I know, I don't know when Tigger enters the public domain.
Next year.
Okay,
so there's a chance. My problem is the second one's going to have to be so much better now because this one was such a letdown.
I think Tigger will help.
Yeah.
There's a lot of possibility with Tigger.
And I'm sitting there like, you guys had this chance to like get people like to be into your Mimi franchise. And even a lot of slasher fans are like, well, it was just okay. And I know I've come off as harsh in this review. I had a little bit of fun with the movie, not nearly. I don't think it was good. But there's stuff in it where I'm like, there was potential there that you just kind of fumbled. And Ryan just didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
But I will say that I don't generally like slashers.
And Daniel loves them.
Take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I have not seen the majority of the super iconic slasher movies.
I'm making a marathon Scream next month.
So I'm not super educated on the genre, but the main reason for that is that I was never, as a kid, going through the video rental store, I was never drawn to the Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Streets or the Halloweens or the Screams. I never chose to rent those movies and watch them. I always went for the Stephen King movies, the animal, like the creature features.
Creature features are good.
The vampire movies, the werewolf movies, the zombie movies. That's what I went for as a kid. And then, when I've seen a couple of these slasher movies as an adult, it's not the same as watching them when I would have when I was 10. The only super iconic slasher movie I saw, when I was a 10-year-old kid getting exposed to horror movies, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it scared me so bad I've never seen it again till this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I'm not going to fault anybody for enjoying this movie, because the same reason I wouldn't fault somebody for liking a Hallmark Christmas movie that I didn't like, because I don't like Hallmark Christmas movies, so I wouldn't expect to like it. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm disappointed, because I can, even though I'm not a big slasher person, I can recognize the missed opportunity with they had a great chance to make a super iconic and unique movie by leaning into this Winnie the Pooh stuff, and they just didn't do it.
And I agree with that. And I don't like the movie Terrifier, but even that movie was we're just going to be super absurd with the gore, and it has a giant fan base now.
I feel like, as the director of a slasher, you probably have to make a choice. Do we want this to be a funny movie, or do we want this to be a scary movie? And they chose to try and make it a scary movie, and it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
And it wasn't funny. And then what do you have?
Yeah. I did laugh a couple of times, but
yeah,
not as much as I wanted to.
We also, I think we laughed at a couple things we weren't supposed to laugh at.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
Yeah, it happens.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Kiss me, fat boy.
We saw.
Yeah,
there's a lot of in the movie.
When he put that girl through the wood chipper
and ripped her shirt off,
that just reminded me of Galaxy Quest and Alan Rickman yelling at Tim Allen, "I see you managed to get your shirt off."
I kind of the sequel to have Pooh have a sex scene.
Ugh. With a human or with one of the denizens of the 100-acre wood?
I mean, ideally it would be Kango, but I don't think she enters the public domain for a long time.
Yeah, no. Maybe, I don't know. I can't really see Pooh having sex with any... If I could see him having sex with anybody, it'd be Piglet, but is Piglet dead? It seemed like Piglet was dead.
It also seemed like Pooh was dead a couple of times, but...
Yeah. I mean, I could see Piglet not being dead, but we'll see.
I was also kind of let down by, his one line in the movie. You left.
Yeah.
I did like that he killed the final girl. He just, punctuated Christopher Robin hatred.
Yeah. No, if you had asked me which I prefer, him killing that girl or not, I think it was better for the movie that he killed her, but by that point, they weren't going to do anything to save the movie for me, so...
Yeah.
Like I said again, if you liked it, great. I think if I saw this movie in high school, I would have liked it a lot more, because I probably would have been just so happy with the fact that the movie existed at all, that I would have gotten enjoyment out of that. But 34-year-old me is just a little bit more jaded than 18-year-old me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
King and Koontz. My king is the lighting. This movie was almost entirely in the dark, and they did some really cool things with the lighting, including like live fire with like torches and burning cars. And there were several shots of Pooh and his face with shadows that I just thought were super impressive.
Honestly, the cinematography wasn't bad. Like, I know we kind of were a little harsh throughout this review, but like, there were some good shots.
Yeah.
My king is the animated sequences, because I thought those were genuinely great.
Aesthetically, the music was decent. The prologue was awesome. The cinematography and the lighting. And Pooh's mask was okay.
It was good enough.
It was good enough, yeah.
I would say it was good enough for what the budget they had was.
So it was all of that I was pretty impressed with.
Honestly, it was the kills that failed it for me.
Yeah.
If this movie would have been exactly the same tone but would have had more memorable kills, I probably would have walked out of that theater going, Ryan, you're dumb. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I probably would have liked it if it had, if
it drowned one person in honey. That's all I wanted.
I would have been a lot happier. Or if, the biggest trope is Pooh getting his head stuck in a beehive. Why didn't he slam a beehive down on somebody's head?
I'm stuck, Step Bunny.
Just all he had to do is just like put somebody's head in a beehive so they got stung to death.
Does Rabbit get on the list of fuckable bunnies?
No,
he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. And my Koontz was just everything else in the movie.
My Koontz was the kills weren't creative enough.
Yeah, I'll just say the same thing.
I liked the car kill, even though it wasn't Pooh related.
It was fine.
But like they hogtied the girl and then ran over her head and she screamed and the eyeball was out. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Should have drowned somebody in a pot of honey. Should have killed somebody with a beehive.
I know he used bees once, but I wanted more of that.
I don't know. Heffalumps and woozles may not be in the public domain yet. If they were, that could have been something that was used. Wind storms are a very iconic Winnie the Pooh thing, blustery days. So, like, killing somebody using wind could have been a thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not a writer. I can't be a writer, so I review things. So... but so don't listen to me because I don't do this. But it's still, that's my opinion. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Ranking, I put it at the absolute bottom except for Roar, and there was a sick and twisted part of me that wanted to put it below Roar, but I didn't out of principle because actual animals died and people were literally hurt in the making of Roar, and nobody got hurt by this movie. The reason, I wanted to put it below, a sick and twisted part of me wanted to put it below Roar, was because Roar is at least worthy of a conversation. Roar is such a phenomenon in film history. It's, worth studying. But, past, this initial release of Winnie the Pooh, where we watch it, and we see it, and we talk about it, I don't know, maybe it'll become kind of a meme on the Horror of Babylon, but I don't think it's going to be a movie that we go back and talk about again and again.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it out of principle. It's my second from the bottom, above Roar, and below All That You Love Will Be Carried Away.
I liked it a little bit more than that, but I liked it more than Roar. I liked it more than All That You Love Will Be Carried Away. I still liked it more than Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is more personally offensive.
Yeah.
I could have seen myself putting it over that. What about Horns?
I think I'm going to put it between Horns and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I think I liked it more than Horns. I think I'd watch this again before I'd watch Horns again.
But you would watch Mary Shelley's Frankenstein before this?
I think because at least Mary Shelley's Frankenstein leans into some absurd shit.
Oh, yeah.
The amniotic fluid, the eels. I think it's stupid, but at least it took the concept and it was like, what can we do different?
I would watch Mary Shelley's Frankenstein again just for the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
And just for the scene where they throw Justine, where they hang Justine, and where...
Because it's I think Phantoms has more going for it.
Where What's-His-Face gets stabbed by Robert De Niro.
There's no...
John Cleese.
as much as I hate it, Chapter 2, there's no way I can say that this is better than that.
No.
And Valerian was at least funny. Like, I had fun recording that episode.
Yeah, and it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you could put Valerian on and mute it and put some music over it and be happy.
Make incest jokes.
Wincest jokes.
Yeah.
Total wincest.
I cannot believe we've been talking for more than 40 minutes.
Okay. Homework. So what other beloved childhood literary character would you like to see get the horror movie treatment?
You first.
Basically Pet Sematary, but with all of the Rugrats.
Okay.
I mean, so that truck just hits all of them. Can you imagine, like, fucking Angelica coming back as, like, a demon zombie? Like, she'd be scary and she'd be mean. She'd, like, cut you down with these terrible insults.
So mine's not from my childhood, but I thought this was kind of funny. Is Dora becomes a drug runner. And so Dora the Explorer, and she, like... I don't know if you've ever seen cartel execution videos, but she just does that to people.
That's almost the plot of the live-action Dora movie.
Yeah, like she chops people's heads off with a rusty machete and then sends it to their family.
In the purple backpack.
Yeah.
Backpack.
And she, like, has a pet monkey that eats people's faces.
It's the Watcher. It rips people's eyes out.
Yeah. I don't know what the monkey's name is, because Dora wasn't... Boots is all like... Take out your eyes. Oh, hi, Mr. Producer. What did you think?
It sucked.
I love you, Sheldon.
Yeah, Dora's good. I also thought about Psycho being remade with Ren and Stimpy, mostly because I want Ren to have killed Stimpy and dressed Stimpy up like the mom and put him in the rocking chair. And then, like, whenever he's at the motel and Ren wait a minute. I might be flipping them. Is Stimpy the cat?
I don't remember.
Okay, so the dog is at the hotel and sees the cat up in the window in the rocking chair and just, like, step out the door and go, Stimpy!
We talked about the giving tree.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something you could do with that. Like, you have this dude who literally takes everything from this tree, and now the tree's out for blood.
So, question for the listeners, what did you think? Did you like it? Are we totally wrong? Why did you like it? Let's get some dissenting opinions up in here. And then for further reading, watch Robot Chicken, because Robot Chicken does this exact every episode. They take something you love, they twist it in a horrible way, and everybody either gets fucked or dies. Or gets fucked and dies.
Yep.
So yeah, watch some Robot Chicken. Thank you to our patrons, including, but not limited to, actually limited to, because there's only 3.
There's only 3 right
There's
now.
only 3. Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron. And of course, visit Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, and the Mall Robinson, and say hello to the sniffer of glue, the shooter of marbles, and the avoider of team sports, Ronald III, the Grampus of Christmas.
I fucking love this man.
And thank you very much for going to see the movie live in theaters. We did not stream this. We did not pirate this. We paid money to go and see this.
I was all about supporting it, so...
Yeah. All right.
How did we talk about this for an hour?
Oh, no. We need to be done. All right. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow Daniel at DStarSick on Twitter. Follow Ryan at Darth Damio on the Bluebird app. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the horrorofbabylon@gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.